Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra with me, Shail Bhatnagar, and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the day street. It's been pretty volatile since the morning, but at least we are hovering around the 25,500, 20,000, 23,550 odd mark right there. Right now, about a 14-15 point of a dip can be seen on the Nifty. You have a whole host of sectors that are still managing to hold up higher in trade. Realty is up by 1%, recouping some of the losses of yesterday. Small caps are doing well, about a percent higher in trade. So within the broader markets, both in mid and small caps are actually doing better than the benchmarks right now. Autos, financial services, the Nifty Bank itself is also up by about 0.2%, and IT, oil and gas and infra, the other pockets that are holding up. What's not doing well is in fact the FMCG space that's dragged about 1.3% in trade today. PSU banks, pharma, metals, these are the pockets that are lower in trade. Top movers are Eicher Motors holding on to their high position right from the morning trade. You have Hero Moto that's also coming along in that faster lane. HDFC Life Insurance, Reliance Industry is now up 1.5%, and SBI Life are the other top movers on trade right now. So we are hoping that we have at least if not a very high, at least flattish with a positive bias kind of a close ahead of the long weekend, Shell.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2:35 for you. It's the weekly expiry of the Nifty as also of the Sensex 50. Tomorrow is a holiday, and then we have the weekend, and that's the reason that you see this flat trade on the Nifty, at least not moving anywhere beyond a 50-point move either side over yesterday's close. Even the Nifty Bank is quiet, just nothing happening, 70 points higher. Nifty 500, 61 points higher. The action is in the small cap and the mid cap space. Essentially what is happening is that on one particular day, one main index is kept quiet. It could be the Nifty or the Bank Nifty, and others are bashed in. That has been happening over the last 10 odd sessions or so. Today it being the weekly expiry, and of course a pretty long weekend. Therefore, all those people who had taken a lot of short positions are also in the process of sort of ending them over or taking them over to the next weekly expiry. Even next week, November 20th, is a holiday because of state elections in Maharashtra, where both major exchanges are placed, and that's the reason why there's a very sharp volatility in options prices as well. What's really interesting in the market today are counters such as Banco India, up 20% now, 1:1 bonus, and of course a very strong set of numbers as far as sales and profit are concerned. This was one of those rare stocks where a lot of move has happened towards positivity, and many stocks that will be a part of the 45 share list that will be in the FNO from November 29th are also in the green. In particular, Geo Finance 5.9% higher, 317. Policy Bazaar 4.3% higher, 1703. Zomato 4.5% higher, 270. And a bit of a disappointment actually on the IPO listing for today. When you look at Niva Bupa, it's just 0.5% higher at 74. Yesterday's darling Swiggy is down 3.5%. Acme Solar, a further cut of 7.5%. It got listed at 13% discount yesterday, so another 7% down. And Sagility down 1.5%, 28.10. Sakshi.
Right, absolutely. Let's also welcome Kunal V. Parar, our guest on the show, to help us understand with his take on the markets. He's the Vice President Technical Research at Choice Equity Broking. Warm welcome yet again, Kunal. Tell us what is the sense that you're getting on the markets right now? Are there any pockets that are giving you more confidence of a sustained up move over the next week as well?
Good afternoon, and if we talk about market overall, let's hope for the best because market right now is trading with a strong support of 200 days moving average, and the way it has been trading with its all the large cap counters, I think if it gives a close above 200 days moving average, we may see some sort of recovery. I'm not talking about the bounce back momentum, but I'm talking about the recovery momentum, and based on which a few counters are there where we can see some upside momentums, particularly First sector is IT, where we have been witnessing a good upside momentum since last 1 week. Not only these few sectors are there, other sectors are there where particularly stock specific momentum are there where where I'm keeping my eyes, and that's Reliance, UPL, and Geo Finance. Particularly insurance sectors are there who are performing very well. So among this counter, I think if we have to pick one counter, then I'll go with the IT sectors, and one counter would be like Infosys, because the way it has been trading during this falling market, I think it gives some sense of confidence to get into the stock for a medium term perspective.
So actually, it's interesting that people are now finding value in Infosys.
Yes.
Remember, you know, there was a time then, क्या 12% growth करता है, बेकार.
I know. And I think it was back in March that you had started to track the IT space, and you said that now is the
Yes.
time to start looking at all of these
Absolutely.
IT spaces, to pick and choose all of them from the portfolio, and look at the kind of move that we've actually seen in the last 6 months for Infi and for rest of the Nifty IT names as well.
Let me just look at the ITBs. I remember talking about it at 33 rupees. This was again in June. Yes, exactly 33.5, and now they are at 45. So what you see is a 10 rupee move is actually a 33% uptick, because you will divide 10 by 33 and you will get 33%. And similarly, when I say please look at SBI Nifty ETF, 6 months later you and I will discuss it. At the moment at 249 if I am not wrong, and today there's a by the way, there is okay, it's not exactly a green tick, but we had a high of 251.4 and now at 249, but it's corrected all the way from 276 to all the way down to 249. Let us see, but as they say, we live in interesting times, and a lot of good activity happening. Eicher Motors 7% higher on a fairly modest set of numbers, but it's been beaten black and blue, and in a market where nothing much is happening, this is a major outperformer. It's interesting to look at Zomato, 4% higher. Kunalji, what are the charts telling you?
Well, if we talk about the Zomato, I think in this falling market, Zomato is the counter where you will get the confidence, and you will get some good upside momentum, because on an early chart, counter is trading above 200 early moving average, and with trading at 269, technical structure is totally in a favor of creating a long position only. One can go for long at 269 with strict SL somewhere around 250. Upside first target, we can say it's 285, and more above it, the 320 would be there.
Yeah, Sakshi, what's interesting with Zomato is that after maybe 16th of October, the counter has come up above 21 EMA. That basically decides the difference between buy and sell. So below 21, you don't go long. Above 21, you start a fresh position.
Yeah.
And this is coming on the back of two developments. One, Zomato will be in FNO from November 29, and second, Swiggy got listed. So these are two, how should I say, seminal events that have happened in the world of Zomato, and that's how it is now trading exactly at a 1 month high, and in this kind of a flat market showing decent volumes. Sakshi.
Absolutely, and also when Macquarie came out with a report yesterday talking about a 130 target on Zomato as well, so it's shot up right after that as well.
Didn't they come out with a report on Swiggy also?
Yes, they did, and again there also they expected the stock to be lower in trade. They had expected about 11% lower than the issue
The
price
IPO
as
price,
well.
है ना?
So
11% would mean somewhere like another 40 rupees down from 390.
Yeah.
So they was expecting somewhere like 350, 340. Anyways,
so 325 is what they had set a target of.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. ठीक है. I mean, these are interesting days. But all those stocks that are meant in the internet space to be a part of the FNO circuit from November 29th are in good shape. So see Zomato, see Paytm, PB Fintech. I'd also like to watch delivery. I haven't seen the chart of delivery for a while.
CDSL, BSE.
हाँ वो wealth management वाला space है.
Yes.
So delivery is in very bad shape. 331, and I have this sinking feeling that even at 331 it's obscenely priced. Let me just get you the dividend yield is of course 0. It's a loss making company. So delivery will not see pleasant times when it comes to F&O, and of course PB Fintech, and the ones that you mentioned were
CDSL and BSC also.
as also Angel One.
Angel One.
These three are coming from the wealth management space. So
but Kunal, yeah, but it's interesting, Kunal, with this F&O, I've been reading some reports. There are brokerage houses that are penciling in on Zomato and Jio Finance as the most probable candidates that could be included in the Nifty in March of 2025. Now that this F&O, eligibility criteria is also being met starting November 29. What is your own expectation as far as both Zomato and JioFin are concerned? Should we see sharper flows coming in anticipation of these two stocks getting an entry there?
Well, actually, when we talk about the Jio Finance, I think we had already discussed in our previous show, and I think I give a buy call particularly in Jio Finance even for long term perspective.
Yes.
Right now, stock is trading at 316, and as you said that it will be in Nifty by 2025 March. I think big boost will be there, particularly for this counter. And if you talk about long-term perspective of this counter, I think more 450 plus of target would be there for this counter. So if anybody want to go for SIP type of investment or long-term type of investment, I think this is the perfect time where one can get entry. And if you talk about Zomato, then recently I gone through that tweet of the Zomato founder. I think they have come up with a new policy related to the wastage of food.
Cancellation.
I think it will give you a big boost, particularly to the Zomato's profitability. So yes, Zomato also looks very attractive.
Actually, Sakshi, I think I'm not sure who's written that report, but you always need a financial history. Forget price history.
Yeah.
Both Zomato and JioFin have less than 2 years of price history. One, and financial history is of course of that time only. Zomato has just come into profit, and the market capitalization above 2 crores, 2 lakh crores.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that market capitalization alone is not the parameter for getting into the Sensex or the Nifty. There are many invisible, how should I say, things noted. Among them, promoter stake. So Zomato, the promoter stake is I think 4%, if I'm not wrong. So a lot of things have to be kept in mind. Of course, Jio Finance has a good promoter stake, but what are the financials? So maybe 10 years from now we'll look at it, but
Yeah.
I don't think so it's happening till March 2025. I'm fairly sure on this one.
Okay.
247 flat market as of now as far as the Nifty is concerned. Let me just see if there are any new highs today. 1 second. All-time highs. Oh, well, just HCL Tech. And how about good volume buzzers? Yes. Aisha Motors is a very good volume buzzer. Kirloskar Engineering, Jio Finance, all of them 4.5 times. And of course, you mentioned Apollo Tyres in the morning.
Yes. Absolutely. So they are all buzzing. In fact, Apollo Tyres is now 4.5% higher in the F&O space. And I think even Balkrishna was also among those which were top movers within the F&O space. It's still holding up about 2.7% higher in trade, but huge volumes in Apollo Tyres. Let's get Kunal to talk about it. Are you again looking at the auto ancillary and within that the tyre space if at all? Kunal, and how is your thought process on Apollo Tyres looking at the charts? Okay, I think there is some kind of a connection issue with Kunal. We couldn't hear him. We'll try and get back to him. But let's look at the charts of Apollo Tyres itself to see how the stock has been moving. When we look at the last 1 month chart, you will see it's been softer, 5.5% order. So, of course, in the kind of downturn that we have seen, still better off than the benchmark indices. Last 6 months also, almost flat, no kind of a return. Year to date, just up 5% odd or so. Last 1 year, it's gone up just about 11 odd percent right there. So, it's been choppy ride for Apollo Tyres, but now is when we are actually looking at, things improving. Let's also see whether we have the earnings as well of Apollo Tyres right here. Let me just quickly pull out the earnings that came in. It did fall short of estimates, that is what I know. Net profit skid around 37%, but the revenue was slightly higher in trade. Yes, so EBITDA down by about 24.3% to 877 crores. EBITDA margin stood at 13.6%. This was also softer. Both missed the projections as well. What we've also seen that the 37% year-on-year decline in net profit was also seen and recorded, and the revenues, however, was seen on an uptick right there, 2.5% higher for this one too. So, despite the muted set of numbers that have come in, the stock has actually shot up in trade today. Do we have Kunal back with us? Kunal? Okay, I think we've lost him. We'll try and get back to him. But let's again look at some of the other broader market movers at this point in time. Some interesting names that I could probably again note from the auto space is Talbros Auto. That's up 7.2% after a long haul. We are looking at this one as well. Strong moves has come in. Axis Gates Technologies is up 12%. Then you have Sterling Tools at 11% higher in trade. You have Newland Labs, that's up 8.5% higher. That's an interesting name to track. Again, Kiri Industries is something that Raghavendra has many times back talked about. Okay. Then we have, I think, Kunal back with us. Kunal, we were talking about the Apollo Tyres stock, huge volumes and strong surge. This is despite the earnings disappointment. Your sense? Apollo Tyres, Kunal.
If you talk about Apollo Tyres, right now stock is trading somewhere around 478. I'm not saying to get into the stock right now because stock is trading up by to add confidence with the trade. I think one should wait for today's closing because stock is going to make bullish engulfing candlesticks and it's a bullish reversal candlestick. So once it gets completed, I think we may see a good upside momentum from next week. So yes, this stock should be there in your watch list, but not for fresh buy right now.
I think it's an interesting thought that I just got. So actually, Zomato is the top traded counter today, 1900 crores, and
How
it's
about
a
Geofin?
Geofin, okay, 1150 crores.
Close, yeah.
Yes. So essentially, what is happening is one, it's the weekly expiry, and my feeling is that Kunal, do you track rollover data?
No, I'll say
Okay, no issue. So essentially, positions are getting rolled on the short side. This is my feeling, because there is no short covering happening because there is no volume, or there is no volume and therefore no short covering, or the reverse is also true. Since there is no short covering, there is no volume. So people are basically rolling over positions is what I feel. Maybe. Let's see how it goes, but very, very low volumes. HDFC Bank today only 1800 crores worth of trade done. HAL is at an interesting position. Kunal, if you can just look at the HAL chart. Sakshi, you will have less work on FII numbers on Monday. They won't be as high as they are over the last 2 or 3 sessions. But one thing in the morning I forgot to point out, that the DII number was 3x the FII number.
Yes, yes.
And that has everything to do with the 200-day DMA. A lot of buying was concentrated at that point of time, and perhaps that's the reason why we are still at 200-day DMA. But let's see what morning brings us of Monday, and more importantly how US markets close today, tomorrow, and whatever is the periodic handout in the dollar index and the US 10-year yield. अब मेरे ये सपने में आने लगे हैं दोनों.
Oh God.
Charts are so terrible.
Oh God. That's the worst. Well,
डॉलर इंडेक्स से रातों की नींद उड़ गई.
105, 106. You would count like that instead of counting down to from 100 to 1 while sleeping.
It's now at 13-month high. Today morning I was seeing and I was saying, oh my God, we shouldn't open the market today.
I know, but we'll relatively done still better.
Yes, of
like
course.
you pointed out.
That's the 200-day DMA.
Yeah.
And look at how the market is being balanced by mid cap and small cap indices.
Yes.
They are up 1 percentage point each. So it's okay. मतलब इतनी पिटाई के बाद एक दिन तो आराम करना भी चाहिए. टीचर भी जब स्कूल में पिटाई करते थे तो थोड़ी रोक देते थे दूसरा मारने से पहले. मे बी इट्स द रेस्ट डे. कुणाल जी क्या कहते हैं? कभी स्कूल में हुआ है ऐसा हादसा आपके साथ?
कभी नहीं, बहुत बार हुआ है ऐसा हादसा. और हमारे टाइम में कुछ हारसी था सर. आज के टाइम पे जैसा नहीं है कि एक चमाट मारो और पेरेंट्स आ गए स्कूल में.
Oh God.
आपने भी मेरे जैसे दिन ही देखे हैं फिर.
डेफिनेटली सर जी.
चलिए जैसे वो चले गए वैसे. हाँ चिल्ड्रंस डे. चलिए अच्छी बात करते हैं. HL का प्राइस देखिए 200 DMA पे. बताइए क्या लगता है?
वेल सर, HL की बात कर रहे हैं 200 DMA के नीचे है. एंड जिस हिसाब से स्टॉक ट्रेड कर रहा है, अगर ये 200 DMA को वापस अगर कैप्चर नहीं करता है सो वन वे डाउनसाइड की मोमेंटम देखने को मिल सकती है. नाउ व्हाई आई एम यूजिंग दिस वन वे, बिकॉज वॉलेटिलिटी जिस हिसाब से काउंटर में बनी हुई है, उस वॉलेटिलिटी के बेस पे वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट समवेयर अराउंड 3640 to 3600 लेवल इफ इट डजंट कैप्चर इट्स 200 डेज मूविंग एवरेज. तो फिलहाल जो मोमेंटम लग रही है मुझे डाउनसाइड की ही लग रही है.
Okay, and HL has reported its numbers today also. It's reported a 22% surge in its consolidated net profit at 1510 crores for the September quarter. The net profit came in at 1236 crores in the previous year's same quarter. So there is a jump of around 22%. Revenue was up 6% at 5,976 crores. EBITDA was up 7.3% at 1,600 odd crore rupees. We've also seen the margins up on a year-on-year basis to just marginally 27.4% versus 27.1%.
Sakshi, and two important points. 32% correction is done.
Yeah.
And we've tested 200-day moving average on daily charts. And we have tested very, very importantly green one was 54 EMA on weekly charts. मतलब बहुत ही मेजर सिग्नल है ये. और देखते हैं क्या होता है. What's interesting is that for 6 months in a row, each month it has made a lower high and a lower low. So.
Okay.
So lots of interesting correlations at a time. When the earnings has come in, the market is at 200-day DMA, stock is at 200-day DMA, and this is perhaps the right time to look at the defense index fund of Motilal Oswal AMC. Let me just see what the what the price is of that one. I think it should be somewhere like 8.5 against an issue price of 10. I think, Sakshi, if you remember, this had collected 2,300 crores, if I am not wrong. Motilal Oswal Defense. Here, India Defense Fund. Okay, 7.82 is the NAV. And assets are 2,100 crores. Okay, so they are 2,100 crores because 20 what? How much? 7.8 to 22% have been eroded. So this would have been 400 plus. So वही 2600-2700.
Okay.
So that's how it is. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, this is a time to look at this fund with a very, very positive outlook in life. Top holding is BEL 20%, Hindustan Aeronautics is again 20%, Solar, and you know what's interesting, Sakshi? Let me just send you a photo of this. they have added to these counters over last month. So they are buying this fall. One second. So Kunal ji, before we let you go, कोई बढ़िया आइडिया मंडे के लिए BTST STBT?
दो चीजें हैं। सबसे पहले स्टॉक की बात कर लेते हैं। बीटीएसटी में इंडियन होटल, जिसके ऊपर कंटिन्यूअसली मेरी वॉच है। फिलहाल स्टॉक अभी 742 के अराउंड ट्रेड कर रहा है। खरीदारी करके चलने की सलाह है। नाउ स्टॉक इज ट्रेडिंग है 742। बाय करिए आप 727 के एसएल के साथ। टारगेट की बात कर लेते हैं तो टारगेट जो सबसे पहला टारगेट जो हमें यहाँ पे देखने को मिलेगा वो है 754 एंड 754 जैसे ही क्रॉस होगा 772 के दूसरे टारगेट भी हमें यहाँ पे देखने को मिल सकते हैं। नाउ दिस इज फॉर स्टॉक साइज। बीटी एचटीबीटी में मैं सजेस्ट करूंगा पर्टिकुलरली, इट्स नॉट एचटीबीटी बट यस, पुट खरीदने की मैं बात करूंगा। बजाज फिंसो पुट 1640 का पुट खरीद के चलिए, which is trading somewhere around 26.50. SL would be at 15 rupees 15. टारगेट की बात कर लेते हैं, then first target comes at 36 and if it gets breaks then 50 would be there. So Bajaj Finserv 1640 put.
Okay.
It's also broken the 200-day moving average today. So that's the reason for the short view that is coming in on Bajaj Finserv. Sakshi.
But you also had another Bajaj counter that you were positive on, right, Kunal? Bajaj Housing is something that you were looking at?
Exactly. I am very much bullish particularly on Bajaj Housing, but it's for long term.
Okay, got it. 47 points lower. Now we are inching closer to 23,500 now, 23,518. What is slipping? IT is now slipping in trade. It's now down about 1/10% on the index. So that's the heavyweight space that's down. PSU banks, pharma, metals, oil and gas, consumer durables, infra. These are the spaces that are losing ground. And you can actually see this pressure building up from some stocks. Let's look at on the Nifty. You have Tata Consumer Products, that's down 3% from the FMCG space. So all the three majors like Britannia, HUL, Tata Consumer Products, ITC, they're all down in trade. FMCG is not participating. NTPC, right ahead of that, NTPC Green IPO to be coming in next week, is down by about 2.5%. BPCL, Shriram Finance, these are the other counters that are down. But within the IT pack, let me just see which are the counters that are actually dragging. Wipro is down 0.7%, half odd percent decline for HCL Tech. Emphasis, Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys and L&T Technology Services are also all lower in trade. And our friend Kush Godasara is also messaging me and saying that I told you that we will be shorting HCL Tech and Tech Mahindra. They are on the downside. So, okay, Kush, we'll continue to look at both these stocks as well for you. All right, Kunal, thank you so much for being with us on the show to share with us all these thoughts and ideas. Pleasure having you. Let's now welcome viewers. Another guest on board, Mr. Amar Singh, Senior Vice President at Research at Angel One, is now with us. Amar ji, warm welcome. Good to have you with us. क्या लगता है बाजार में एक जो सबसे बड़ा सवाल उठ रहा है कि 10% तो गिर गया निफ्टी, यहाँ से और 10% गिर सकता है क्या? इसके ऊपर आपकी क्या टिप्पणी है?
देखिए ओवरऑल मार्केट्स
प्लीज कंटिन्यू सर.
ओवरऑल मार्केट्स की बात करें तो डेफिनेटली वी हैव सीन सम वेरी शार्प सेलिंग एंड आल्सो जो हम लोगों ने ये देखा है कि स्टॉक्स में स्पेसिफिक में काफी ज्यादा सेलिंग आई है, एनीवेयर बिटवीन 20%, 30%, अप टू 40% आल्सो वी हैव सीन इन मेनी स्टॉक्स जहां करेक्शन रही है. तो कहीं ना कहीं वो क्लियर है कि जो फैक्टर्स हैं इन द सेंस की जो कॉर्पोरेट अर्निंग्स से, मतलब आई वुड नॉट से कि डिसअपॉइंटमेंट, बट मोर और लेस इट वाज ऑन एक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस आल्सो एंड मार्केट्स वर लुकिंग फॉर सम रीजन टू करेक्ट. बिकॉज क्या हो रहा था कि आप जितने भी स्टॉक्स उठा के देखें तो उनके पीई जो है दैट वाज एक्सट्रीमली हाई एंड इवन फॉरवर्ड अर्निंग्स के हिसाब से भी दे वर एक्सट्रीमली हाई. तो कहीं ना कहीं जो स्मार्ट मनी है, इन्वेस्टर्स हैं जो पैसा लगाते हैं और जो प्रोफेशनली फंड मैनेज करते हैं, उनकी भी एक दायित्व रहती है कि वो जो पैसा लगाए वो सोच समझ के लगाए और वो रुक के लगाए. तो कहीं ना कहीं That has what has happened, and also what we are seeing is that जो FIIs की जो selling रही है, that has been relentless. उस कारण से भी selling रही है large caps and I would say mid caps alike. We've seen some sharp correction, but yes, large caps have corrected less. तो जिन्होंने large caps में invest किया होगा, large cap funds में, they are at a lesser loss as compared to those who invested in mid caps or small caps over the last couple of months. अब आगे यहाँ से क्या है? तो यहाँ से ये जरूर है कि 23,400 500 जो है वो काफी इंपॉर्टेंट क्रूशियल सपोर्ट जोन है निफ्टी का टेक्निकली स्पीकिंग दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सपोर्ट जोन सो 23,400 to 500 दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सपोर्ट जोन यस 23,400 के नीचे ट्रेड करता है देन वी कुड डेफिनेटली और मोस्ट लाइकली सी निफ्टी ट्रेडिंग टुवर्ड्स द 23,000 23,200 लेवल्स क्योंकि अभी क्या है द बेयर्स हैव द अपर हैंड तो पुल बैक आती है उसमें एक सेलिंग प्रेशर आ जाता है और क्योंकि जो चार्ट स्ट्रक्चर है ऑन द इंटरमीडिएट टर्म ट्रेंड बिकॉज आई बीन सेइंग फॉर क्वाइट सम टाइम कि पुल बैक्स आर शॉर्टिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज इट्स नॉट दैट वी हैव सीन द एंड ऑफ द करेक्शन क्योंकि जो स्ट्रक्चर है इंटरमीडिएट टर्म ट्रेंड का वो काफी नेगेटिव अभी भी है हालांकि लॉन्ग टर्म चार्ट्स में देखो तो ये मेजर सपोर्ट जोन है तो वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट सम पुल बैक बट द की क्वेश्चन इज विल इट सस्टेन दैट इज द की क्वेश्चन एंड फॉर दैट Nifty will have to sustain out the 24,400 to 600 zone consistently. तभी जाके बोल सकते हैं कि now the trend has changed. Otherwise, we are in for consolidation with favor in the favor of bears as of now.
Right. That's the view coming in from Amar. Amarji, when you look at this list of 45 stocks that have been chosen to represent into the stock futures part, what is your gut feel on how the exchange has chosen these 45? Some of them have valuations which are beyond the pale of comprehension. Is this a process to bring them in line by selling stock futures repeatedly?
So if we look at the criteria which generally is there for stock selection. So what happens in the FNO is that all these stocks which move into this, there the impact cost, as you said, that valuations could be higher for many of the stocks. So, but then that is a different ball game altogether. That's a different line of thought altogether. What is rather looked at is as the average daily volumes, how the average daily volumes have been. Then there is a threshold limit for that. Then apart from that, what is the impact cost in terms of buy and sell? What's the bid-ask spread? Then what's the total quantity that's being traded on a daily basis? So these are few parameters, and based on those who make the cut, they are the ones who are put in the list. Again, you'll find that when many stocks move into the list, and sometimes some stocks move out of the list also if they're not able to maintain that criteria. Having said that, I would say valuations are different from that because वो चाहे वो FNO में रहे या FNO में ना रहे, valuations अलग-अलग रहेंगी depending upon the investor interest. Because होता क्या है, there's some very good study also which has been there for quite some time that it is the investor interest and euphoria and the fund flow which effectively determines the share price from a short term perspective. तो वो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत ज़्यादा जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल बीच में हम लोगों ने रिन्यूअल्स की बहुत बात सुनी तो वहाँ हम लोगों ने देखा पीएसयू स्टॉक्स की बात देखी पहले पीएसयू स्टॉक्स को कोई टच नहीं कर रहा था पीएसयू बैंक्स को कोई टच नहीं कर रहा था डिफेंस स्टॉक्स को कोई टच नहीं कर रहा तो सम टाइम और द अदर देयर इज दिस थीम व्हिच कम्स अप एंड देयर द मनी स्टार्ट्स फ्लोइंग इन दोस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर्स और फिर वो स्टॉक्स की अर्निंग्स भले उस पेस में न ग्रोथ हुई बट उनकी प्राइस बहुत फास्ट ग्रो हो जाती बिकॉज द प्राइस टू अर्निंग्स रेशियो है दैट ग्रोज सिग्निफिकेंटली. So from a short-term perspective, it is more of a investor sentiment, the money flow which is coming into, which determines the prices. But then again, they cool off once realization dawns कि maybe what they were actually expecting or anticipating वो नहीं होगा कुछ और मतलब उससे there could be some lower growth in that sense. तो ये सब जो है these play a very important role in the markets.
Right. There is also this invisible thought process running in the market that on the evening when Bank Nifty weekly options have stopped trading, you have 45 new entrants coming into NSE whose IPO is going to come into the market. So, no issues at all. I mean, these are all business moves to protect and safeguard your top line. Once these weekly options are out of the way, Sakshi, NSE's top line will be dramatically low. And this is when the stock price on its own has gone up from, I am talking about the unlisted space, from 1800 to 6200, and then you have the 4:1 split. So, it's a very painful time for any company to see its top line eroded by 30-35% bare minimum, and the consequent trickle down effect on the bottom line. So, the practical reason is that that top line and bottom line needs to be protected, and many deserving candidates are there in that particular list, especially DMart. There were a lot of questions earlier as to why DMart is not into F&O. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is, and the stock has also corrected 33%. So, right time as any to either rejoice that move or rub your hands with glee and anticipation that now you will have very high PE stocks coming into the F&O space. I can never forget the example of Whirlpool, Sakshi. It got an entry at 2900, and there was barely a month in 3 years that it was in F&O that it rose. Barely a month. Let me just see the monthly chart. And when it exited, the parents told it's a large chunk of its stake.
Okay.
And from then on, the counter is almost doubled.
Okay.
1200 to 2200.
Wow. All right. So that's going to be important and interesting to really look at as well. Okay, but tell us, Amarji, if I have to ask you, in the last 5-6 days of a fall, almost investors have lost quite a bit in trade, and I wanted to also understand, how much more downside do you see in the markets from here on?
So see, if we look at the markets, markets have corrected and corrected quite sharply, almost 2,800 points in the Nifty if you look at from the highs, and that's quite a bit. And stocks, as I said, have corrected significantly. So one has to be really, I would say, careful, and but at the same time, this could also offer opportunities for investing, because what it effectively means, if you logically look at that, if you're buying Tata Motors at say 900 or 1,000, and now it's come below the 800 mark, so would you not look at buying the stock and holding from a long-term perspective? So one needs to be very clear that, and one needs to understand that also, that markets, if they go up, they'll also come down, and the fall is always faster than the rise, because the law of gravity works in the case of the fall faster. So, and also fear is as an emotion is more overpowering than greed. So what we are seeing here is that I have corrected, but the good part is India VIX hasn't really increased significantly at sustained levels. So that shows that, okay, markets are correcting, but investors are not unduly perturbed. So having said that, I would say that one needs to be selective, definitely, because how it plays out is something we'll have to watch out for, because despite the US markets doing quite well, our markets have gone for a toss, if you'll say, in terms of sell-offs, but some of the pockets still have performed well in terms of pharma's holding up. IT also, a few stocks and some counters have done quite well. PSU banking space also, some of the banks have done quite well. So it's been a little more of some rotation, which is also happening in terms of investment. So one needs to be definitely prudent and at the same time selective in picking stocks, because now the rally, which was a one-way rally, that seems to be definitely over, and it would be more smart picking and more having more patience in terms of holding on to one's position.
Interesting thoughts that are being discussed by Amar. One point I'd like to make is that now we are 17 minutes away from markets close. Sakshi, it's been a good day.
Yeah.
Generally in the last 15 minutes, we don't see major moves coming in on weekly expiry, and a very nice range bound typical weekly expiry day for the Nifty. 2 sessions before this, Nifty had lost 600 points. 304 390 70 yesterday and 254 yesterday, day before yesterday. And the optimistic amongst us, including me, were hoping for a very strong bout of short covering, but that did not happen. What also did not happen was sustained selling. So maybe on Monday we will again reassess how the dynamics have changed, because it's good for people to spend a weekend with 200-day DMA, look at corrections that have happened, and more importantly, Sakshi, earnings day ends today.
Yeah.
अभी कोई एक्सीडेंट नहीं होगा वरना every day there was an Asian Paints, there was a Trent, there was a Bajaj Auto, there was a Maruti every single day in the last 33-34 sessions. मतलब मेरे तो बाल सफ़ेद हो गए.
But talking about that, Amarji, what will be the new triggers that we should look at? Again, elections will be happening next week. So, do you think like political, drama will also take shape and impact the market sentiments next week?
I would say, see, markets wouldn't really pay much attention to it for the simple reason that we've had the Lok Sabha elections only a few months back. So there is complete stability as far as the central government is concerned, and markets are more concerned with the central government as to how stable the government is at the center, and also what's the period which the government will be at the center. So I think that's what basically I would say is one of the deciding factors for the FIIs or the domestic institutions. So I wouldn't say it would impact too much, maybe a little bit, but not much to read into it, whichever way the election results goes.
Wonderful.
Okay, 14 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's now just start doing a detour into the markets. I want to see any circuits that are there. Sakshi, I'm very, very optimistic. Buyer only circuit, yes. Banco India and 20%. We've discussed this since morning. There is Suzlon at 5%, very interesting. Sky Gold is something, Sakshi, we've discussed once or twice, 5% higher, but it's stratospheric, 32.57 for you. Indotech Transformers is a permanent stock at 5% higher, so that's interesting. These are the names that I can take on air. Even Kitex Garments is up 5%. I think JG Chemicals is Jackson Pal Chemicals. I don't remember watching this stock for many months. JG Chemicals, okay, now it's called JG only, but a very, very nice chart of JG Chemicals, up 20%, must be some earnings reason. So this is how it is. There is a holding company, JSW Holding Limited.
Yeah, JSW Holdings,
10% higher. So these are the also ones. Should I look at sellers only? Okay. Thankfully, there are no names that I would like to mention on this one. So it's fairly okay. How's the advanced decline shaping up? Early morning, bulls took a lead. Let's see what it is now. And it's 1300 shares to 1000 shares, 1:3, 2.6. Yani for every 2 stocks that are up, for every 2 stocks that are down, there are 5 that are up. So that's fairly decent. And okay, 19 indices is what Sakshi and I track for you. FMCG index has seen a breakdown, now below 200 DMA. And we have the small cap, the auto and the mid cap index in decent shape. Mid cap NSE 500 advanced decline ratio is 3:2. So it's an okay day, Sakshi.
Absolutely. Amarji, 318 now. Could you tell us any BTST, STBT trades that one has to keep in mind? Because 3 days in a row we'll be having like a holiday and then we'll be coming back on Monday. What should be the strategy? It will be difficult now.
Yeah, I would say that one needs to, as far as possible, not carry positions in some stocks. But Ramco Cement is one stock one can definitely keep a close watch on. It has been trading consistently above the 900 levels. Earlier, 880 was acting as a zone of resistance, And technically, if you ask me, it's positive on the charts. Sustaining over the 900, 910 zone, the stock has a potential to rally towards the 940, 950 zone. And support for the stock is below the 880. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on from a short-term perspective.
Okay. So that's Ramco Cements. We'll keep an eye out on that too as well for the next week. So you can probably look at this stock at 901, 2% higher in trade. Good volumes coming in to support this one as well. Real estate stocks are pulling up, 1% higher in trade, and within this, macro tech developers would be outperforming. Oberoi Realty is up 3%. In fact, Brigade, Prestige Essays, DLF, Macro Tech, Godrej, all of them are up and about in trade. Raymond is also pulling up. You have the small caps and the mid caps that are doing very well. Let's pull up some small cap stocks then. HFCL, 6% higher. I think Vineet Bulinchkar had talked about this stock in his morning commentary among the stocks that he had preferred. That's the one that's 5.7% higher in trade. HBL Power, KEC International, Go Digit General Insurance, Aegis Logistics, Affle, Signature Global, they're all up 4% higher in trade. So all of these small cap stocks, they are actually doing very well in trade. Even in the mid cap basket, let me just pull up some names which are doing extremely well. PB Fintech, 6.6% higher in trade. Again, this is one another stock that I think Vineet had talked about. Then Suzlon Energy is up 5% after those 6 days of a sell-off. Indian Hotels, as was highlighted by even Kunal right there, is also up in trade. Solar Industries, Max Financial, Mankind Pharma, these are the kind of stocks that are buzzing. Amarji, mid and small cap से कोई stock पसंद आ रहा है आपको?
So usme there is one stock in the pharma space which looks positive, and that's Marksans Pharma.
Okay.
So the stock has rallied, I would say, significantly. Today also the stock has moved up. So there's only one level that needs to keep mindful of, and that is 320, 330 zone. Currently it's around 310. Overall, the structure of the stock is positive from a long-term perspective for an intermediate term as well as short term. But sustaining above the 310, 320 level is something which is very important. If it sustains above that level, then we could witness the stock headed higher towards 345, 350 levels. Whereas on the downside, the stock has got immediate support coming below the 295 watt level. So this is one stock, again, one can keep a close watch on, because despite the market correction, the stock hasn't really corrected and it's holding firm. But it needs to sustain over the 320 level for any meaningful upside rally.
So that's the process that is coming in the market. Sakshi, just 7 points lower on the Nifty.
Yeah.
And tantalizingly above 23,550. Let us see how it goes.
Maybe
but
we can end in the green.
but the last half an hour will be taken as the weighted average. So we don't know. But like I said, it's been a very tempered and mature reaction at 200-day DMA. Maybe for a couple of days we'll meander around it, and then the uptick will start. What's really interesting, Sakshi, I noticed was that again in HAL, I bring this conversation again back to you. It's an exact 89-day move that has come to 200-day DMA. And earnings today, 200-day DMA for Nifty as well, and a fairly decent price point on weekly and monthly charts. Keep an eye out on this one. Who knows, you might get it cheaper. But at this point, Sakshi, this is the lowest since June 4th.
Okay.
So another, how should I say, cozy coincidence.
Interesting, very interesting at that.
I just wish the volumes were a lot higher, but they haven't been up to the mark. But then, like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is a chutti. Monday ko dekhenge.
Okay, so Amarji, it's a special day, it's Children's Day, and we are asking all our guests right from morning, their own favorite stocks that they'd like to recommend to parents out there to invest in for their children, what would your favorite stocks be for absolute long term for somebody who wants to plan a portfolio for their children? Any 2 or 3 stock ideas that you'd like to highlight where they can do consistent sips for over the next 5-10 years?
I would say one stock definitely is Tata Motors from a long-term perspective.
Okay.
The
Wow.
company has been transforming itself and doing it quite well. And if you look at the Tata vehicles which are on the roads today and the new ones which are coming, they are really amazing. So in terms of EV also, they are establishing their leadership position and in other areas. So this is one stock. And the company is very strong on corporate governance coming from the Tata stables. So this is one stock one can look at from a long-term perspective. The other stock I would say to look at from a private banking space is ICICI Bank. Again, from a long-term perspective, this is one bank which could be looked at. And the third I would say is from the pharma space, and that is Dr. Reddy's Lab. So Dr. Reddy's also can be a stock where one can look at an SIP mode from a long-term perspective. These are a couple of stocks one can definitely keep a close watch on.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, just 6 minutes left for the markets to close for Thursday, and please be rest assured there will be no selling on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So we all can have a nice relaxed weekend and not worry about FII numbers, not worry about dollar index, not worry about US 10-year yield, and so many other factors that have been working against us for the last 34-35 trading sessions. So a nice quiet close, 104 points up on the Nifty bank. Let's look at the contributory stocks that have come up on the Nifty in terms of their positive contribution. That should be a very good analysis on the pullers and draggers side. Okay, Reliance, HDFC Bank 12 points each, ICICI Bank 10, Kotak 8 and Eicher Motors 11. We can negate Eicher Motors. Sakshi, out of the top 4 index heavyweights, super heavyweights let me just say, and in order HDFC Bank, Reliance, ICICI and Infosys. 3 are up. Even Infosys is in the green. Let me just check that. I am fairly sure it is. Yes, it is. So that's the positive part of the market. What's pulled it down? Breakdown happening in FMCG, as I had pointed out. Index is now below 200-day DMA. Ditto for Hindustan Unilever, ditto for ITC. NTPC down 2.2%. I am rather surprised this has happened because of the IPO announcements that have come in, but it's okay. Power Grid and Tata Motors. So that's how the setup is, ladies and gentlemen, as far as the top 5 main contributors on the long and the short side of the Nifty is concerned. Sakshi.
Amarji, on Reliance Industries, I just wanted to take a view. You know, on balance, it's actually now sitting at a 0 return on Reliance Industries for this year 2024 so far. At 1266 odd or so, how would you really advise a long-term investor? Is this the best time to start building on positions for somebody who has their eyes out on, okay, Jio will come out with an IPO and many such triggers could happen in 2025. So is this a good place to start looking at the stock?
Well, see, ideally, if you ask me, Reliance at the current levels clearly is very crucial support zone. So maybe currently it's around 1250, 1260, 1260. So ideally, yes, this level 1230, 1260, that's a very strong support zone. So those who, because if you look at the stock has corrected almost from 1600 levels. So 1600 to 1300, sub 1300, it's almost it's a 300, 350 point correction. So 20% correction, which is phenomenal from its all-time highs. So the stock is at close support zone. So, but one of the technical indicators is extremely negative. So that tells me that even if it pulls back, there could be some consolidation. But yes, 1200, 1230, 1240, that's a strong zone. So one can look at as a stock SIP from that perspective.
Sakshi, there is a fire sale happening on the Lal Street. You know, it's a crisis of plenty. Kya kharide? But if that is something that you should you're worried about, the best thing you can do is buy a decent fund. And the second best thing is you can do is, with your broker's help, buy a good ETF which represents the broader market. It could even be the NSE 500 ETF, but the more diversified, the lesser the returns in terms of immediate movement. But a Nifty 50 ETF will do wonders, and please keep an eye out on the SBI Nifty ETF at 249 rupees. That's the most sensible advice that you will get from any practically oriented wealth creation financial analyst. Sakshi, 329 and maybe in the green. Yes.
Maybe.
No, it just went up. 50 paisa, 180.
Let's hope that stays there just about a minute, and at least that's the bulls saving the blushes right after those 6 days of horrifying move and consistent sell-off ahead of the long weekend. They want to make people happy. Yes, I'm still there. Don't miss me much.
I may be in the ICU, but my toes are twinkling.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we will thank you, Amarji, for being with us on the show to share with us all those fantastic insights that you have. And we'll have you very soon back on Business Today to continue to share with us the wisdom and of investing in the markets with our viewers. The screen has frozen absolutely flat, 23,556, 2 points down in trade. And the Nifty Bank has managed a 0.25% uptick at 50,216. Broader markets doing better, 0.9% higher for small caps, 0.5% higher for the mid cap index, realty up over 1%, autos driving the show about 0.8% higher, private banks also pulling up in trade 0.4% higher. Financial services, the Nifty Bank itself, I've mentioned it's moved up. Infra, IT also managed to pull up in trade 1/10% higher, and consumer durables as well. Eicher Motors, Hero Moto, Grasim, Kotak Mahindra Bank and HDFC Life are the top movers today. On the downside, like I said, FMCG majors, HUL Britannia down in trade, Tata Consumer Products and Nestle also down in trade, and BPCL as the top 5 losers on trade right now. We'll wrap it up at that, viewers, but do stay tuned on Business Today television, even beyond the stock market hours. There's a lot more for you to really look at in terms of coverage on Business Today television. Stay tuned, and we'll be back after a 3-day holiday, and Shell will be enjoying in Europe right there. So we will be missing you, Shell, but I hope you have a fantastic holiday. Come back, but I'm sure that Jomo you gave us, you're going to be, looking at
I've
that.
done on my shopping in the markets before leaving too.
Okay, so for you to spend there in Europe.
No, I won't sell, no.
Okay, got that.
I have invested in assets that will appreciate rather than shop for depreciating assets in Europe. But now we will have the quarterly GDP of Europe.
Yes, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us on Business Today.
The world's most visible billionaire will now wield a giant axe to cut down America's bloated bureaucracy and federal fat.